with the paranormal. Um, First off, we're going to talk about wrestling news, and when we talk about wrestling news, we play. Where the hell is it? We play this little gif right here. Around the effing galaxy. We're going to go all around the effing galaxy with Le Disciple, the Magician, and myself, Canada Dry. So, what we got first, Mr. Magician?
Well, I feel like we have to talk about the CM Punk and John Moxley match. I mean, 3 minutes. I mean, what do we think?
Have you seen the memes?
There's
There's the one
so
with
many.
the. Have you seen the one with the sex meme? It's like, well, at least you lasted longer than CM Punk.
No, I've not seen that one.
Budget. You want to see it now, don't you?
I do. That's what I'm going to do after I finish this show.
Your thoughts, George?
Well, I'm not really gonna say it was like it was all right, but it also wasn't the best. Um,
Well,
I felt
let me
like
just sort of like lead you in a sort of interview fashion
hmm,
because
this was kind of hard.
what were your emotions going into that? Like when it happened, were you like, "What the like? What was going on when you saw him lose in 3 minutes?"
Well, at first I wasn't like, what the hell until so I'm like, okay, CM Punk did the kick, and then he's injured. Well, they're probably just gonna do, oh, the doctors are gonna come, and then I seen Mox just get on him. I'm like, okay, beat him down, beat him down. Maybe Punk will make a comeback. Like double paradigm shift, boom, it's done. And I'm like, okay, what couldn't have been saved for the pay per view? And before that, going into the match, I was thinking, okay, so are they just going to put the title back on Punk? Do a random thing with him and Hangman if that was true? Somehow do a three-way at the pay per view or something if one of them does win? And honestly, I was kind of left still scratching my head a little. And especially with the rumors still saying, well, we're going to have round 2 at the pay per view still.
So that's just a rumor, hasn't been announced yet. Tonight
Yep.
on Rampage, CM Punk will be addressing losing the championship. But here are my thoughts on this. You had the referee calling the doctors before
Yeah.
John Moxley jumped on him and beat the crap out of him. Now, John Moxley did not see that because he was down. So if they could totally play this up like they were about to do the X and they didn't, they just counted 1, 2, 3 instead. That could lead to the rematch.
I mean, for me personally, I'm kind of confused. I mean, the match was scheduled for All Out. It's obviously ended up on Dynamite. Punk's got injured, just got squashed in 3 minutes. The whole thing for me, I'm really scratching my head, as George obviously mentioned there. So, but I'm curious to see where it's going to go.
Well, as I mentioned on Dynamite After Dark, I was so mad. I was like, screw John Moxley. Oh, just so mad. But I loved it. Because when was the last time wrestling made you feel those emotions?
Not for a while. So now you mention that, yeah.
Yeah, like when was the last time you were yelling at the screen in wrestling? Now, I could totally be wrong here, depending on where this goes, because if it doesn't go where I think it's going, I'll still be mad. So
You don't want to make Canada Dry mad.
yeah, you don't want to see me when I'm mad. What else we got? Or do we want to continue on with this, or do we want to move on to the next?
Is there anything else that you guys want to add to that? I mean, the whole story is confusing for me.
George?
I don't think so, really. We'll probably have to wait till later tonight to find out. Otherwise, everything's just rumor and head scratches, so.
The nice thing about Rampage being only 2 nights away from Dynamite is that it's not a long drawn out where you got to wait a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Perfect sense. So should we move on to our next story?
Right, let's do it.
So sticking with AEW, obviously Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara, this backstage altercation is the best way to put it. What do we think, guys?
So this comes down to, according to Sammy Guevara, who released a thing the other day, that he submitted to Eddie Kingston what he was okay with everything. They talk about what's okay and what's not okay, what you're not allowed to say, and I guess Eddie Kingston didn't say anything to Sammy's response to
No.
this, and so Sammy Guevara made a promo, kind of playing up on the internet some of the trolls who are making fun of his body shape and his weight issues, and so when that promo was over, he got back, and Eddie Kingston was freaking out on him, and came to the point where he took a swing at him.
Wow.
And so quietly, Eddie Kingston was suspended, and apparently the match isn't happening for All Out now. What are your
Do
thoughts,
we know?
George?
Well, I don't want to say one side or one of them is more right than the other, but I do believe there was like definitely a communication issue, at least from Eddie Kingston to Sammy Guevara, because I did see the thing that Sammy, I guess, put out there to like kind of tell what happened or whatever, and he even said that since I believe it was a taping, that his promo segment had to be changed a little, I guess, after that. But um, from what I heard, at least from Sammy's viewpoint and what he was getting to, he was basically trying to get out the point that the character Sammy Guevara was saying this towards Eddie Kingston, and the whole kayfabe thing, and not trying to be any like personal or trying to get heat or jab at him like personally about it. But I do believe there was a small communication issue, at least just somewhere in there, that probably could have been solved out differently, but just sadly didn't happen.
Well said. Well said. I mean, for me, I mean, we know Eddie Kingston's very, very vocal. So to have this altercation with somebody like Sammy Guevara, yeah, I know he's still learning as a heel, but I don't know. I mean, we know what Eddie Kingston's like. We know he's very, very vocal. So we'll just have to see how this plays out.
Now, Eddie Kingston has apologized,
Yep.
and I think Sammy wanted to get his side of the story out, but Sammy was just straight like blah, like no, wasn't holding back any punches in his statements.
Be interested
So
to see. What do you think to Sammy as a heel? Or do you think this is working, or do you think it's still a learning thing?
I think he makes a fine heel. I think it's fine. It's just comes down to communication and Eddie Kingston not. If there's actually paperwork you got to do to let people know, are you okay with these things that I'm saying?
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. So, I just thought of another question here. So, there's obviously a lot of reports with everything going off backstage in AEW. What's your thoughts on all this?
One of them is actually Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
So Thunder Rosa, it's being reported that she has a lot of heat right now in AEW from the women. The reports say that Britt Baker and her are legit enemies.
Wow.
And she broke Jamie Hayter's nose in a match. And the reports that Thunder Rosa was hiding from them. So I'm wondering if this is a kayfabe injury, and they're just trying to figure out what to do with the belt, and because it makes sense if Thunder's got all this heat, why she hasn't been on TV this long. But why wait to take the belt off now? If you're not going to use her on TV, they should have took that belt off her a long time ago.
But the question is, who takes the belt off her?
Well, I was talking to Coop yesterday, and we've come up with a scenario where Britt Baker gets the interim belt, beats Thunder Rosa, and then Jade loses to Ember Moon. What's her Athena?
Yeah.
Loses to Athena, and then beats Britt Baker with a Jamie Hayter turn afterwards. So we got it all figured out. We're bookers, damn it.
Damn. Book it. Wow, that sounds really interesting. I think that'd be good to see that it plays out. So
because Jade could, they want a black world champion for the women because they like they like they like to get that status sort of thing. So George, you've been quiet.
Well, since you just revealed yourself as AEW's booker, I was just letting you go. I didn't know we had one of their head bookers here.
Oh yeah, I've been booking for years for AEW.
You just don't know.
But anyway, I do believe, and kind of with the way Thunder did act in that promo from this past Wednesday, that I think the injury, I'm kind of leaning a little more to it might be serious, because I did see reports where it kind of was like iffy, but then seeing.
Sorry to interrupt you, but the other thing is, just so you have all the information, is that she's taken herself off social media as well.
Yeah, I did see that.
That's kind of like why, like, kind of plays into what the reports are saying with her heat.
But the thing I question about that is, because I did see a small report, I believe it might have been not really confirmed by Thunder Rosa herself, or like someone close, supposedly, that she might have a serious injury to where she might need surgery from, I guess, something that happened to her hernia or something along those lines. But again, that's probably like, take it with a grain of salt. Not 100% true.
We'll see.
Yeah, we shall see.
So moving along, what else we got here?
Right, so the one last one, this is probably one you're going to like, is the NWA 74th anniversary show. Now, this is obviously held on the 27th and the 28th. What do we think, guys?
So, we have a friend of the channel, friend of the brand, Brian Idol, who's Mercurio. Don't make me make the ugly face. And we have, of course, the face of effing wrestling, Natalia Markova, and she's wrestling, I believe, on night 1 of this thing, in a battle royal. If she wins this thing, she gets a title shot on night 2, I believe.
Some big names in this as well, because I'm just looking at the card. Obviously, Angelina Love's in obviously that match.
You are obsessed with Angelina Love.
I'm sorry, I've just looked at the card. Sorry.
you wanted it to be her.
I did. But no, obviously, we hope she does well. I'm sure she will. I mean, obviously, she's doing absolutely amazing in NWA, so we shall see.
And then, so moving along to the paranormal, before we move to the Bowl or Truth, we got a couple of things, George. I don't know if you've seen this.
Surprise me.
Where the hell is it? All right.
Something's not going to come out of my screen, is it?
If you see anything strange in this picture, George? Do you see it?
Yeah, there's a dark, shadowy figure.
Not the baseball player.
I know you're going to say that.
All right, so look right above the baseball player in the sky. Can you see the UFO?
Oh, so it's a UFO.
Okay, we're gonna zoom in.
That just looks so creepy when you zoom it right in. You just like you can see all like
Okay, so
lights.
what's interesting about this picture is that it's almost the same sky's color as the sky, but not. It's like you can see the outline of a saucer.
It looks like it's trying to blend in with the sky a little bit.
Yeah, but it's not quite the same, right? You can see like the top part is rounder and the bottom part is not as round. It's quite smaller.
That is definitely weird.
So
That.
yeah, so this is comes from a member of our community, our predictions community, our wrestling community. This comes from Benji, and Benji's sister, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
sister or daughter, one of the two. It was a girl. Anyways, um, so she was, as you can see, she was at a baseball game, and she's taking a picture of her uncle playing baseball, and she shows Benji this picture afterwards, and he's like, "Well, what's that in the sky?" She's like, "I don't know what that is," and apparently it's a UFO. Apparently, there's been 45 sightings of UFOs in Connecticut alone, and that's where he is.
So she didn't realize until after the picture was taken.
Yeah, so she wasn't looking for this UFO. She was watching her uncle play baseball.
Really weird. I mean, everybody does it where they take a picture, but they don't realize until after.
Have you ever had that, George? Have you taken a picture and seen something weird in it after?
Not all the time.
No, of course not all the time. Have you ever done it? Have you seen something weird in your pictures?
Yeah, some of them.
I had a group photo way back before digital cameras, and we were taking a group photo of a bunch of friends. We're all kind of hugging in close together, and so we developed it, and there's this little face kind of over our shoulders looking in, going like this, and it was a little smaller than a normal head, so it was really weird.
I can just imagine that was so creepy. Though, just looking at the picture, going, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah. Just you kind of it's almost become normalized though. You're like, okay, yeah, I saw a ghost. Right? So we're gonna move on to our haunted cow part of the show. What, a haunted cow, you say?
Ooh.
This is one of the people in our community. So I'm just gonna play the video.
Hey guys, it's Mega Move here, and so my scary story is that I am being followed by what you call, I guess, I call him Dad, but I guess you could call him a Reaper or whatever, and each time I see him, he gets closer, and then there's the dolls. As a kid, I had this one doll that my grand gave me, and it would move. And we'd always sit it in the rocking chair and it moved to the couch, or it moved into like somebody's bedroom, or it would. One day I thought it started talking. It's really strange. But anymore, if you want more updates, just PM me.
So we got a PM her if we want some more information on that. So she's saying that she sees this sort of like shadowy figure that kind of keeps getting closer and closer to her.
I'd like to get more information on that because it sounds so intriguing in a way.
Yeah, I think like she's working strange hours now. That's why she sent a video. We would have just got her on the show because it's a lot better being able to ask questions rather than to try and decipher what she's saying. Any thoughts, George?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely intriguing. Hopefully, it's just nothing too serious out of the usual paranormal normal. And
talking
stay
dolls,
safe.
dolls that move from room to room, that's normal.
Maybe they want to be friends. Who knows?
When did you get the FTR shirt?
A while ago.
About a week ago.
I was like, she's not wearing a paranormal shirt. He's showing off the FDR shirt. I thought it was new. All right.
I was thinking, have we actually got that on our actual merchandise?
No, it's not ours. It's not ours. We would be laughing if that was ours. So where the it's on the different thing. So now it's time for one of our favorite parts of the show. What's it called again?
Bull or truth?
And we use a picture of our truth and this big ass Brahma bowl. So what do you got for us today, George?
Well, what I have got for you is another story.
Well, yeah, that's what the idea is.
That's why you're here.
And that's where it ends. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
That's bull.
All right. I'm just kidding. All right, for real. So, I'm just gonna say this new married couple. It seems they've been married at least a couple years, at least from what it seems. So they move into this old house, and they're starting to decorate or redecorate rather, and kind of changing things around. And the husband kind of does this, and then the wife kind of does that. And when the wife gets to doing something else, such as wallpaper duty, taking the wallpaper off, because throughout the whole house there was wallpaper everywhere, even on the ceiling. And she started peeling them off and went through each room one by one. And so she gets to one specific room where she pulls off part of the wallpaper, and she sees a name and also with a date. And she didn't think too much of it first until later in the day. At first, for shits and giggles for her, she just happens to look it up. And they kind of, it wasn't just a coincidence. She found the person and the date. They went together as one, saying that this person probably went missing that day. And so she kind of slept on it. And then the next morning, she started tearing off more wallpaper. And I believe probably got all of it off, found more names and more dates. And she's kind of freaking out a little. And like, this ain't any coincidence anymore. And so they notify the authorities, and they come in and check, and everything seems legit. And then they just ask him a few more questions, and they got the forensics teams and everyone else there, and they start asking her questions until one point they say, what did you do with all the wallpaper that you tore off? And she said, basically, why? Is it part of something, or what is it worth? And the officer responded with, that's not just normal wallpaper. That's human skin. And so that's kind of where it ends there.
So all these people were going missing, and whoever put those names and dates there were most likely the murderer.
Yes. Now, I'd say this house, before they picked it up, was probably abandoned, because it didn't seem like there were any reports of anyone coming back, and probably the previous owner or...
I gotta tell you, Liam.
This is really stumping me.
This one's hard, because like if George, if this is bull, I'm really impressed with your storytelling ability and your choices of stories, because when you first started this, you kind of sucked. So I'm really impressed that you got us really stumped here. What to say? I'm gonna say it's true.
See, the thing with the skin's really putting me off. So
I know.
I'm gonna say this is bull. the skin thing's really thrown me off. So if this is true, George, you've really stumped me here. So, George, is it bull or is it truth?
Well, ding, ding, ding. This one is true.
Yes.
Now, on the other hand, I'm not sure.
I've only lost once to you, George. One time.
Ooh,
You're
You only
getting
got
good
me
at this.
one time.
ooh. We're gonna change that. Oh, this way. Yeah, we're gonna change that.
We're gonna change that. Yeah, me, cool. Well, thank you so much. I love to see like you got me. So I didn't know what to pick. So
Nice one, George.
like to hear more of these stories, and we'll see if Liam can get off his. Well, you got it right last week, right?
I did. I got it right last week, but this
So
one's really
we'll see if
stumped me.
George,
So.
if you can get him on a losing streak again.
Ooh, maybe.
Maybe.
All right, we'll see you later, George.
See you in a
All
bit,
right,
George.
thanks, guys. Always a pleasure. Now it's not working.
Get the hell out of here.
That skin thing really threw me off.
So I just realized I used the wrong intro for the show. I used our outro for the intro. So should I use the outro? Should I do it a backwards show today, or should I just?
Yeah, just play it on the outro.
Okay, we'll just do a backwards episode today.
There you go.
Oh, well, that's what we'll do. We'll just you never know what you're gonna get. If you're gonna get an intro, you're gonna get an outro. Which one you'll see. So we're just gonna play it like that.
As we always say, we'll just wing it.
We're winging it, and the best thing about winging it is sometimes you fly. The bad thing about it is sometimes you crash. So I didn't even make a banner for the show, so that doesn't matter. We know it's the London Underground. We'll play the intro for that. It's story time.
Story time of Canada Dry.
Canada Dry and the Magician. Damn it. Except for Wednesdays, because on Wednesdays I say this is the Bible study, and I can't be swearing at the Bible study, so I say darn it. So we're talking about the London Underground, and when we say it London Underground, what are we actually talking about when we talk about that?
So we're talking about the underground stations.
So this subway is so old, right? 1904.
That is correct. It's one of the oldest underground stations in the entire world.
So do you travel on these things?
I do not, unfortunately. It's actually 2 hours away from where I live.
Okay, so you've been on it though.
I've not.
You really never been on the London subway?
No.
Wow. So you definitely gotta get on the London subway.
Well, after this, I'm not too sure.
Well, it's nighttime. Most of these are nighttime stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have George Penning watching. Big surprise! George Penning, yay! Our one guest. Actually, there's another couple people watching, but they are not interacting with us.
Interact, guys! Come on.
So subway translations in London, right?
That's
so is
correct.
it called a subway or is it just called the Underground?
London Underground.
So it's not called a subway.
No, it's just
no
called.
one ever calls it the subway.
No.
Let's take the Underground. What do you call? Let's take the train.
Yeah.
What we say?
Take the train or the tube.
Oh, this isn't George. This is George's younger brother. All right. So in 1890. I said 1904, but it's 1890. So apparently this is a place where lots of accidental deaths have happened. Suicides, I guess, people jump in front of the train. So when they were building this thing, there were lots of misplaced cemeteries, graveyards. There's even misplaced plague pits. And a plague pit is just somewhere where they just dumped all the bodies in and buried them in this pit.
So,
And they 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 relocated all these things, but you can't be messing with the dead because that is going to
no.
cause some scary shit. So,
Uh,
um, our first story that we have in this is um, Steve Coates. Now, Steve Coates is an interesting fellow. He does everything by the book, and he works graveyards because he doesn't want to deal with people. He just likes the nighttime, and he likes the privacy, and he doesn't want to deal with people. And so, I just need a swig of Monster because I talk so much, I get myself parched throat. Um, so he's there in the middle of the night, and just doing some odds and ends, some stuff at the station. And this is Liverpool station, by the way.
mhm.
And so the phone rings, and it is the line controller. And so he's saying, you need to go down to the platform because there's someone down there near the train entrance. And he's like, well, it's 2 a.m. The train station has been closed for 3 hours. There's no way someone's down there. And he goes down, takes the escalator down, um, and he gets out his torch, also known here in North America as a flashlight, and he starts shining it around. He's looking all over the place, but he doesn't see anything. So conveniently, there is a payphone at the bottom of the stairs, bottom of the escalator, and so he checks it, and uh, he tells the what are they called again?
Line manager.
Yeah, the line manager. He's like, listen, I checked, no one's here. He's like, no, dude, I saw a guy, and I'm looking at him right now. He's wearing white overalls. And he's like, okay, I'll check again. And he leaves the phone hanging. And he goes and checks, looking around, shining his flashlight all around, and he doesn't see anything. And he's kind of getting frustrated now. He's like, I got other stuff I got to do. And he gets back on the phone and he says, listen, are you messing with me? He's like, no, you were shining the flashlight right at him. And so he looks again, and nothing is there. He tells the guy, listen, nothing's there. I'm just going to continue my night. And I guess they kind of leave it at that. Did I mention the white overalls already?
You did, yes.
Okay. So, as he's leaving, he's about to go up the escalator when something strikes him out of the corner of his eye.
I think we've all had that before, that. Would you want something that catches your corner in your eye?
Yes, right? So he looks over, and right on the bench is a pair of white overalls. And so he is freaked out. He books it upstairs, and he locks himself in his office for the rest of the night. And I don't blame him. I would not want to go down there after all that.
No. Can you just imagine how creepy that is, though? Like, you can clearly see there's nothing there, but there's somebody saying, look, there's something there. Imagine how creepy that is.
He thought he was playing a prank on him. So we have a guy. His name is Tariq Roma. Tariq
That's great.
Roma. So in 1992, at the Beacon Free Station, Tariq Roma was just finishing up some paperwork in his office, and he kind of felt the door rattling, and he didn't pay much attention because he wanted to go home. He was going to go home right after his paperwork, and he was kind of finishing up when the door rattled again, and he's like, "Okay, it's a little bit more stronger this time." The first time he expected to hear a train go by because that's just what happens when the trains go by. It kind of rattles the doors. And he waited for a train sound, and there was nothing. Thought it was odd, so he decided to open the door, which led him up to the platform where the trains come. And he looked over to see if there was a train coming. Nope. Looked over to the other side, no train coming. Went back down to his office, and this time it was a larger rumble. And it kept rumbling, and no train was coming. He quickly called his colleague, and he said, "I'm coming up. I need to talk to you about something that's going on." And so he's starting to head up there when he feels, and we talked about this on other shows, that something is watching him.
Seems to be a common thing, this a little bit.
Yes, it's one of these things. And so he turns around and he sees an apparition that with solid clothes on and everything. It is a woman in a dress with blonde hair. But the thing about this is the woman had no face. And I don't know about you. Without anyone without a face is freaking scary.
Even just thinking about it, that's just creepy as anything.
Like you don't have anything to see with, but yet you see. So he started booking it to his friend, colleague, and his colleague said to him, "You look like you've seen a ghost." And he's like, "Yes, I've seen a ghost." And he's like, "Oh, was it the blonde woman without a face?" And he's like, "Yes." And he just was beside himself. So in 1958, there was a train collision that killed 10 people. Many speculate that this is where the blonde woman with no face came from. I don't know if it's related. I have another story from 1978. Barry Oakley and his co-worker, they were working the night shift at one of the stations. So what they always did is they shut down the escalator. They would take out the main power bar, and it would not allow them to be used anymore. So that's the first thing they would do. And they did both of them. They shut them down, and then they went off to do other tasks. And all of a sudden, they heard a loud rumbling, and they both came running out. And to their surprise, the escalator was on without any power bar. It was making some weird racket, like I guess imagine that's the cogs and everything still turning despite the power.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to shut it off. And they go back to the office, and Barry Oakley's colleague is against the wall, and he's in a bit of a trance. And Barry believes that maybe he's having a seizure. And he says, "Do you see the faces?" And he comes out of the trance, and apparently in the window there was this evil face staring back at them.
I think anybody'd scare with that.
And apparently this guy who had the trance didn't list his name, but he never returned to that station ever again.
Didn't he leave the same night, I believe?
Yeah, he left and he never returned to that station. I guess he just put it in. It's like, if I'm going to work for this thing, I'm not working there.
What else can you say? I mean, obviously it's creeped him out that much to where he's never going to go back.
Yeah, exactly. So you got some stories you want to tell?
I have. I've got two.
All right, let's make the tag.
Thank you very much for the tag. So I'm going to start my story with. Have you ever heard the term track walking?
My father was a track walker. My grandpa, no, I'm just thinking.
Oh dear. So Bill McCowan now was known as a track walker. Now, for people listening, what this is basically is once the train lines is completely all shut off, he has to go through one station to station, and it's like to make sure there's no breaks in the thing. Now, Bill McCowan was a 20-year. He had 20 years experience, so the guy knew what he was doing. Now, obviously, he was traveling between the Jubilee, from station to Finchley to Charing Cross. Now, apparently that's 8 miles. Just imagine how long that walk is.
And this is all at night.
Yeah, that's all in one night. 8-mile walk from station to thingy. So, obviously, as he's walking up, he's flashing, making sure there's no things. And as you do, you begin to have a rest. So, he rested at Baker Street, between Baker Street and St. John's Wood. Now, as he's resting, you could hear like footsteps, walking towards him. But they're walking on the thing known as the gravel. So, do you know on the trains, the thing in the middle? It's called ballast, if I've said that right.
Oh, ballast, yes.
Yeah, which I thought it was the wood, but it turns out it's the gravel. Now, apparently, the ballast was sinking down. So, like, there's some like your pressure on it.
Oh, were they seeing footsteps in there?
Yes, absolutely. So, and he could feel it getting louder and louder. And apparently, when it got to where it was level with him, you feel like a very tingling sensation.
Let's talk about that for a second. Have you ever been in a weird place? And I always do this. This is what I do. I just put up my hands like this. And I kind of test the atmosphere.
No, but I'm going to do that from now on.
Huh?
I've never done that. I'm going to do that from now
on.
I
test the atmosphere. I kind of just put my hands up. And I feel what it feels like on my hands.
Wow, I'm going to actually try that because that sounds so intriguing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously, as it was in level, you could feel like a great tingling sensation. I mean, have you ever felt that tingling?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I feel it in a negative or a positive way on my hands when I don't know if this is my superpower, but I kind of can detect negative, positive energy when I go in a place like that.
Oh, that's brilliant. So obviously, as the footsteps began to walk away, they suddenly just now stopped. Now, unfortunately, Bill had to go the exact same way. So immediately he's going through I've got to go that exact way. But obviously, he did go through with it. When he got to, let me just make sure I got this right, Charing Cross, he was speaking to his supervisor. And then let's make sure I get this right. He said to his supervisor, he never guessed what happened. And before he could finish that sentence, his supervisor says, "Don't tell me you've seen footprints in the ballast." So this is really weird, the fact that you already knew it. It kind of links back to your story where the people who've told it to, they already know what's going off. It's really weird. What do you think to that?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the blonde lady, right? The blonde lady with no face. I just want to say that also that first story with the coveralls or the overalls, that is known as the famous Liverpool street ghost.
Wow.
I forgot to mention that.
We've also got a lot more, which we'll get to obviously later on. Now, that's my first story. So the second story is from Kennington. Now, this is one of the most haunted on the network. Now, this is really the creepy bit. Now, Bob Can.
Well, Kennington is the most haunted of
That's
all the
yeah.
stations.
After all the stations, apparently Kennington's the most haunted. Now, in Kennington, there's something known as the loop. Now, what this basically is it allows trains to basically come back on themselves so they can go back the other way. Now, when they get to this loop, all passengers are completely removed off. So the train's completely empty. Nobody's there. Right? So, just make sure I get this right. So, Bob Kerr and Larry Day. I'm not even going to say that second name because I can't even pronounce it, but Larry. Let's go, Larry.
Larry and his friend.
Now, apparently, there was an incident further up the track, so which caused a little bit of a delay. Now, as Larry's obviously on the train, you could hear the doors opening. Do you like the middle doors?
We have a bad joke from George Penning. You could say the blonde woman with no face is the best at face-offs.
God damn it, George.
Is she a hockey player?
So, yeah, Larry's obviously on the train, and you can hear like the doors opening. Now, bearing in mind they're on the loop, so there should be no reason to obviously like hear these things. Now, as each door's opening up, as it gets to the last door, where obviously Larry is, he's expected to see like his co-worker. Now, the door opened, and there was nobody there. Now,
So he saw something, then when it finally get there was nothing.
They heard something, but when it got there was nothing there. So he just basically heard the doors opening. So he were expecting like his co-worker to be there. Now that's for Larry. Now, Bob has obviously apparently experienced the same thing, but this is where it gets a little bit twisted. These two incidents were taken 4 years apart.
Oh.
And these men never met.
Oh.
So that is probably one of the most confusing ones out of the whole stories I've read. I mean, what do you reckon to that? They never met. They're not connected.
You know, like I don't think there's really any deciphering of these things. It's just weird shit that happens with like you can't really. I don't think there's any mystery to them that we can figure out.
No, but apparently, according to reports, a passenger was killed trying to board the train between the two carriages, and apparently, this is what apparently one of the ghosts is. This is. I just want to point out this is a rumor. This is not fact. This is just according to reports. So, is it that ghost? We don't know. It's a really weird one.
Yeah, it's kind of like the blonde lady. Is that part of the crash, or is it something else?
Yeah, absolutely. And a little sidebar here. So we've obviously spoke about obviously some stories, but apparently every station has some sort of paranormal phenomenon. So I'm just going to read a couple out here. The Nun of Bank Monument Station, the Phantom Maintenance Man of South Island Place, Crying Children of Bethnal Green, and
Whoa, the Crying Children
of Bethnal Green, apparently.
That one sounds creepy. Yeah, keep going.
And then demonic presence stalks the tunnel on the embankment. So apparently, every single station on this entire network has got some sort of paranormal. So I think we should do a part 2 on this.
If we can find some info, yeah, definitely.
And yeah, so that's the whole thing I've got it. I mean, I think your story, the first one's really, really. I mean, we've heard loads of stories, but that one,
Have you heard of the Liverpool Street Ghost?
I have not until obviously we did research for this, but I can the story of obviously just like looking around, somebody saying it's there. Yeah, you could say, is he playing a trick on you? But who knows? It's still a creepy one.
What's interesting is that, he could have grabbed the overalls. That's the one that says you have an entity that isn't legit.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not material, and then it can produce material. Like what?
Yeah, I mean, out of all the stories we've actually covered, I feel like this one, there's so many. I'm sure there'll be a lot more stories out there, obviously ghosts and stuff, but this is just a few. But wow, I'm absolutely amazed by all this. Any theories?
that, like I said, like how are you gonna theorize that, right? We could theorize why it's happening, maybe.
I think it was something to do with obviously the building, because didn't you mention that a lot of things got obviously like unsettled, like obviously graveyards and stuff. Could that be a little thing into it?
Yeah, that's why I said like maybe why, because you had a lot of burial grounds that were messed with. Another theory is people who are messing with the occult are hanging out in the tunnels.
Wow.
So if you're messing with witchcraft and going to the tunnels, you're giving them ownership of the tunnels pretty much.
Yeah. My theory is the faceless woman. Oh, Jesus Christ. Is he
So
all
do you
right?
think that the faceless woman can be made pretty with makeup though? Like maybe
Who
just
knows?
draw some lipstick. Like, hey, she's hot. And then she's like wipes it up. Ah!
If she stays there long enough. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting story, and I think obviously there is a lot more obviously to it. I mean, obviously I mentioned there's a lot more ghost, but yeah, when it comes to theories on this one, I mean, I'm absolutely stumped.
Yeah. So let's move on to our next part of the show, and that is
Knowledge is power.
no. Oh, I pushed the wrong button, and that is. I think I went first last time, didn't I? No, you did. You did.
Yes.
Didn't you? Yes. Okay. So it's my turn to go first. Now, if you are working anywhere at night and there's some kind of knocks and sounds and paranormal stuff going on, not kids, I want you to listen to this advice. Get your notepad out. Get your notepad. You got your notepad? Okay, you got your notepad. Okay, you're gonna need a pencil or pens. Fine, you don't need to erase it. You got your pens? You got it?
Yep. Got
All
it.
right. So, do not work graveyard jobs ever. I worked some graveyard jobs, and I seen some paranormal things at all my graveyard jobs, and just don't work graveyard jobs. Don't do it.
Nobody likes them.
Don't.
Just don't. Just don't. Just listen to Canada Dry. Do not do it.
Don't. That's my knowledge of power moment.
There we go. So mine is now, kids. Now, when it's dark and you think you want to get home quicker, please just take the bus. Never go underground, because you never ever know what's there.
Take the bus, kids.
Take the bus, kids.
Knowledge is power. So that kind of brings us to the end of our show. We're going to play our generic rock music. Of course, we have our Pro Wrestling Tea Store, where you can pick up these beauties. What is it, like a dripping skull? What is it? A tree skull? What is it?
That's like a tree. I'm saying a tree skull.
A tree skull. What is a tree skull shirt? It's only $19.99. And I'm sure there's a sale coming up soon. I don't know when. It's been a while. Also, go to fnwrestling.com, where you could
Follow
read
us.
one of our stories and hit our ads and just click on them like crazy, or click. And that means your computer will get a virus. But don't blame us, because you're the one who clicked. Also on on the dot at the bottom of our screen, we have all our social networking.
Right there.
Also, you'll see it down below here. You'll see all our links to our social media, to our Facebook group, the All F and Wrestling Community, AFW League, where you compete with the best to win championships. And next season, guess what? Guess what?
What?
We have some great prizes.
No way.
Yeah, we got some great prizes next year. Next season, not year. We don't call them years. We call them seasons. You know what? And I guess keep on wrestling with the paranormal.
Trying to find out. And remember, have your cat spayed or neutered. Help control the pet population.
You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done.